Smith. I'm the Director of Search Engine Optimization and Social Media Marketing here at Haley. And on the call as well will be Jenny Keller. She is one of our SEO consultants and leading gurus in social media here at Haley. And we're very excited to present this topic, 8 Keys to Ranking Well in Google. And we've done some search engine optimization lunch with Haley's in the past, and they've been well received, and we have those recorded on our website and available. But today, we're going to hone in on the 8 elements that we feel are most important to an effective search engine optimization strategy and the keys to, really ranking well in Google. So without further ado, let's jump right in. And today's agenda, we have a lot to cover, so I'm going to go through slides fairly quickly, but hopefully you'll get some great takeaways. And we're going to talk about search engine optimization and give a quick overview so that everybody's on board and understands what SEO is. We'll talk about your existing website, what you can do on your website as it stands now to help provide more SEO value. We'll talk about the importance of blogging and content development. We'll address how social media ties into search engine optimization, and there's some really interesting advancements in that area, and Jenny's going to cover some of those. We'll look at search optimized job boards and why jobs are so important and so key to your SEO strategy. We'll look at Google local pages and what you can do for free on a Google local page to help provide some SEO value. We'll address review sites. We'll look at tracking. So how can you make sure that all of this work is fruitful? Are you getting ROI from that? And then finally, we'll wrap things up with next steps. What do you have to do to further improve your rankings and make sure that you maintain your rankings? And before we go any further, I just want to remind everybody that in your right-hand column, there's some options there. In the chat box, we've included a link to download today's slides. So if you do want to download these slides, that link is available in your chat window. And throughout the presentation, please be sure to ask any questions that you have. I may not be able to address them right away. We'll leave some time at the end for Q&A. But if the question is relevant to what we're talking about, we'll try to cover that and try to get through all the questions. All right, so let's start off with a search engine optimization overview. What is SEO? SEO, to sum it up, is the process of improving the volume and quality of traffic to your site. SEO isn't about ranking #1 in Google. It's about improving the traffic to your site. Now, ranking high in Google search results is one way to improve traffic, but we're going to address some other things too. And one thing to keep in mind is the word process. SEO is a process. It's not an event. You can't think of SEO as a one-time event, because if you do, you'll find that over time your rankings decrease, your traffic decreases, and if you stand still, your competitors are going to pass you. So again, it's a process. It's not an event. Why should you care about search engine optimization? And I think it's pretty evident. There are people out there that are looking for the services you offer. People are going into Google and typing in things like staffing services in your city. And they're going to find one of two things. They're going to find your website or they're going to find your competitors. SEO is about making sure that they find you. It's collecting traffic from the low-hanging fruit, people that have already expressed an interest in the services you offer. You want to get them to your site. Those are your easiest sales. And one thing that's extremely important about search engine optimization is that 90% of internet searchers don't get to page 2 of search rankings. So it's important that you put a plan in place to rank well. And we're going to walk through how you do that. So step 1, and again, there's 8 steps here. So the first step in making sure that you rank well in Google and get that good targeted traffic to your website is taking a look at your existing website content. And when I say website content, I don't just mean the words on your page. I mean all of these other items that are part of your website. So at the core, at the center, are keywords. You need to make sure that you're picking the right keywords. But then we're also going to look at the content on your site, so the words on your site, the URL, your domain address. We're going to look at inbound links, and I'll dig deeper into each of these in a minute here. And then we're going to look at something a little bit more technical called metadata. So let's start off with the technical stuff and get that out of the way. Metadata, it's something that's in the back code of your website, but it's also visible to the end user in some areas. So let's start off by talking about the page title. The page title is what appears in the top blue bar of your internet browser when somebody is on your site. Each page in your website should have its own unique page title. Oftentimes, though, what I see is that websites have the company name as the page title for every single page in their site. That's fine, but you're probably going to rank pretty decently for your company name as it is. So look at ways to mix in other keywords in there. Think about the services that you offer. Think about how people might be searching for your services, and mix that into your metadata. You want to use keywords, and you want to use geography. And then you need to keep that meta page title to about 60 to 75 characters. After that, Google and Bing and the other search engines really don't read that. So your page title, again, shows in that top blue bar of your internet browser when you're on a page in your website. And then if your site does rank well in search results, the page title is what's going to appear in Google search results. So not only do you want to include keywords there, you want it to make sense so that when somebody sees that in Google search results, it entices them to click on it. So you could think of page title as a brochure, or I'm sorry, as a billboard. You want to make sure that you use maybe no more than 7, 8 words at most, but it shows value. And then your page description in search results is what shows up directly under the page title. So you do a Google search, you see a bold page title, and then right underneath that you see a sentence description. That's your page description. You want to use keywords in that page description, and then you also want to sell the user on the value that they're going to get by clicking on your website. So think about what value you can provide. Make sure you mix that into your page description. The third item on here, meta keywords, it's something that used to be relevant. It's really no longer relevant anymore. And what we found was web developers were just stuffing in all types of different keywords there. So it's not as relevant as it used to be. All right, so now we're beyond the technical stuff. Let's get into other things. Your website address, the URL of your website can play a big factor in whether or not you rank well. And what I mean by that is you all have a website out there, hopefully, and maybe your website is staffingcompany.com. Okay. Once you go to your page that talks about services, take a look at what keywords are in your URL. What I find oftentimes is services will be, for example, staffingcompany.com/services. Well, the word services is too broad. It doesn't add any SEO value. So when Google looks at your website, looks at your URL, says, okay, this page is about services. You could do much better there. So instead of just saying services, say something like staffing agency in your city or staffing services in your city. Think about ways that you can incorporate keywords into your URLs. And the second example here, where you have all those strange characters and variables and question marks, some content management systems will automatically create very long URLs. Take a look at your site. If that's the case, you may want to look at ways that you can better control that to mix in keywords. All right, one of the biggies here, and it's going to be a recurring theme for us today, is content on your site. The single best way to improve rankings is to continually add good content to your site. If you take a look at your existing site, though, let's focus on the content that's already there. Go back through and start with a strong headline. Make sure that you include keywords in your headline. On your services page, if your headline on your services page is just our services, go back and tweak that a little bit. Add in keywords like staffing, recruiting, retention. Mix in geography into your headlines. And then look at the content throughout your site, look at subheadings throughout the content, and look for places that you can include other keywords. And I will caution you, though, what I see sometimes is people will go back in and add so many keywords into their site that it just doesn't read clearly. And what I suggest is being conversational in your content. So go through and write your content so that it makes sense, it provides value, and it's easy to read. And then go back and tweak it a little bit for search engines. Look for places that you can include keywords, but make sure that it reads well organically so that it doesn't come off as you're writing it just for the search engine. With content, you want to avoid duplication, so you don't want 100 pages on your website that all say the same thing, that have very minor tweaks. Google will see that as spammy, and it could actually hurt your search rankings. Next on the list is creating links with anchor text. And what anchor text is, the words that link to another page in your site matter. So for example, if you have some text in your site that says, click here to learn more about our staffing services, most of the time the link will be the words click here. That's adding no SEO value. Instead, look for keywords like staffing services and make the keyword staffing services a link. What that's going to say to Google is, okay, this link on page X, Y, or Z is linking to another page with the keywords staffing services. That must mean that the page they're linking to should be relevant for the keyword phrase staffing services. Okay, so look for ways that you can include keywords in your copy, and not only include those keywords, but look for ways that you can use those as anchor links. I touched on this already, but make frequent updates to your copy. Continually add fresh content, and don't be pigeonholed. The content can include not only text and articles, but it can include video, pictures, audio. Multimedia is now beginning to rank higher and higher in search results. So if you do YouTube videos, if you film case studies or testimonials, get those on YouTube and then embed that content on your website as well. All right, inbound links. Inbound links are still a very important ranking factor. And I just want to clarify what an inbound link is, because I get this question a lot. A client will come to me and say, you know what, I've got a lot of links on my site. I have a whole resources page that offers links to all of these other websites out there with great resources. And I say, you know, that's good that you have that content on your site. You're providing some value to the end user, but it's not providing any SEO value for you. And what I mean by that is SEO value comes from other sites linking to you. Just because you link to other sites and other resources from your website, that's not adding SEO value for your site. That's adding SEO value for those sites that you link to. So you need a plan to build as many inbound links back to your website as possible. And a great tool, and I've included the link here, is a tool called OpenSiteExplorer.org. Again, free tool. What this is going to do is allow you to see what websites out there right now do link back to your site. So it'll help you get an inventory of the sites that are linking back. You can also use this as a great tool to help you build more inbound links. What I mean by that is not only run this on your website, but look at the competitors in your market. Look at the people that are already ranking well in Google search results in your market and see what other websites link to them. And then you can piggyback off of that. You can reach out to these websites and say, hey, can I get listed in your directory too? Can you include a link back to my website as well? So that's one great way to build inbound links. Another is creating and setting up a YouTube channel and other social media accounts. And we'll dig into the importance in this in a little bit, but they can help you build inbound links. Submit comments to blogs, write articles, and distribute press releases. Press releases are becoming a great way to build inbound links. A lot of paid press release services out there will allow you to embed anchor links right in the release. And that's an interesting way to build inbound links back to your website. You can look at different trade associations and organizations that you belong to and ask them to put a link on their association website back to yours. You could exchange links with your clients. So look at your best partners and say, hey, we'll list you under on our website as a client that we serve. Would you mind listing us as a vendor? It's a great win-win for both of you. You're giving them link value, and they're giving you link value. And last but not least, and probably one of my favorite tips here, is write testimonials for other companies. So you all work with, I'm sure, a number of different vendors for your business, people that supply services to you. Write them a great recommendation and say, hey, feel free to post this on your website and just send a link back to our website. So again, there's a win-win value there. You're giving them something of value, you're writing a nice testimonial about their services, and you're in turn getting a link back to your website. All right, and to wrap things up under this section on your existing websites, you're going to want to look at your keywords. It's the core of any SEO strategy, and you need to pick the appropriate keywords. A lot of people say, you know what, I want to rank well for jobs. I want to rank #1 for the keyword jobs. And I always say, well, unless you're CareerBuilder.com, Indeed.com, Monster, you're not going to rank well for the term jobs. And the simple truth is that those websites, the big job boards, they have hundreds of thousands of pieces of content that help them rank well for the term jobs. So don't try to compete. Instead, look for other opportunities. For example, the word employment. It gets less traffic than the term jobs does, but it still gets a high level of traffic and it has much lower competition. So pick your keywords appropriately. Don't go after the big guys because you're not going to be able to unseat them. But there is a lot of opportunity for other types of keywords. And then consider something called longer tail search strings. And what I mean by this is, you know, instead of just trying to rank well for, in this example, data architects, you're competing on a national level then. If you're a firm that's located just in Boston, add that in. Add in Boston, data architects in Boston. Maybe one of your search strings is data architect recruiters in Boston. So think longer tail search strings. People are becoming more savvy in their searches, and they're putting more keywords in their searches. So if you can create content that is very specific, you have a much better chance of getting very targeted traffic to your website. And use their terminology, not yours. You may refer to yourself as a contingent labor expert. However, that might not be the terminology your clients or candidates use. So instead of using your terminology, think about how people refer to your services and use those as your keyword strategy. And finally, do your research. There are some great tools out there for keyword research, and I've listed a few here. One tool that we frequently use is Google AdWords tool. It's a free external keyword research tool, and what that means is it lets you look at estimated traffic per month for a given search term, and then it also gives you an idea of how much competition there is out there for that search term. So when you're choosing keywords, you want to look for keywords that have a high level of traffic and have lower levels of competition. And it's a pretty easy tool to use. And here are some others too. One tool that I just recently came across that I really like is called keywordspy.com. This lets you look at your competitors and see what they're trying to rank well for. And it will even show you competitors that are buying their ads buying pay-per-click ads in search listings, and it'll give you an idea for what keywords they're buying ads for, and also give you an idea of how much their budget is. So there's some great ways to find good keywords that you can rank well for, and also see what your competitors are doing. Here at Haley, we use some advanced SEO software that helps us in keyword development. It helps us analyze competitor sites and pull out terms and look for terms that really have high traffic and low competition. So there are a number of different SEO software tools out there, but they're paid, so I would start with Google AdWords. And then just a quick hint, when you're generating your keyword list, don't forget about plurals. Terms like staffing agency and staffing agencies can have different search results, so make sure you mix that into your keyword research. All right, let's move on to step number 2. So we talked about your existing website. Those are the basics. All right, it used to be that you could search engine optimize your existing website and really rank well in search results. Well, things are changing. And what I mean by that is search engine optimizers and the search engines have become much more strategic in how they rank well. So instead of relying on the website developer to tell Google what should rank well and what shouldn't, Google's mixing in some other tools here. And number 2, consistently add quality content. It's extremely important. So once you get the foundation set, once you look at your existing website and do all those things that we just talked about, number 2, you don't stop there. Consistently add good content. And how do you do that? What we found is that blogs are the easiest way to continually add fresh and relevant content to your site, and probably the single most powerful search engine optimization tool there is. What is a blog? There's some misconceptions about what a blog really is. And really, when I think of a blog, I just think of a way for you to add resources to your website. You don't have to call it a blog. It could be a news section. It could be a resources section. But really, it's a way for you to continually add content, news, commentary, updates to your website. And it lets anybody in your organization do it. Why should I add a blog? Well, number 1, it gives you a forum for direct communication. It can help you build branding. It gives you a point of differentiation. So if other people on their website, other staffing firms, are just talking about their services and not adding value, and you're adding a lot of value, you're giving helpful tips and best practices, you're going to be seen as a thought leader in the space, and they're going to be more likely to choose your forum over another. So it can help you become an expert. There's a PR component here too. Once you begin developing good content, housing it on your website, getting more and more traffic there, people will begin sharing that content. So there's the opportunity for it to go viral on social networks. And then you can leverage that content with news outlets. You can reach out to the local paper, the local columnists, and say, hey, I do this great workforce blog. Take a look. Is this something that you would want to reproduce or republish in your publication? Great way to get your name in front of more and more people. And it's relatively low cost. Once you have the blog set up, you can go in and add content, or cheap plug here, we can help you generate content for your blog too, and it's more cost effective than you might think. And again, the last bullet on this page, search engine optimization. Blogging helps you add new pages to your website. It gives you a new opportunity with every blog post to rank well in search results for a specific search term. So a blog can help you take your website from maybe 5 or 10 pages to 500 pages in a very short amount of time. The more content you have on your site, the more opportunity you have to rank well in search results. The more you rank well in search results, the more targeted traffic you get back to your website, and the more leads and better candidates you get. Okay, so there's a nice trickle-down effect. A question I get a lot is, what should I blog about and how often should I blog? And, it's actually really easy. Think about the questions you deal with. Think about the challenges you solve for your clients each and every day. Just write about that. Write about the value or the ROI of your services. Talk about how staffing can be used more strategically to solve strategic workforce challenges, not just vacation fill-ins. You can use case studies. Highlight company news and events. If you go and attend an event, you're a speaker somewhere, if you're contributing to a charitable cause, get that information up on your blog. It's great information to share, and it helps position your firm as somebody that cares about the community. You can also share interesting articles and insight that you've seen. Okay, so maybe you saw a great article in the Wall Street Journal. Don't just copy and paste that article onto your blog. That's plagiarizing and can get you in trouble. But what you can do is share some insights from that article. You can share your executive summary, what you learned from that article, and make sure it's custom written and get that up on your site. And then last but not least, you all have some great career and hiring advice. So instead of just sharing that with your clients and with your candidates over the phone, get that up on your blog, get it written. And how often should you blog? I suggest trying to blog at least once a week, but the more you blog, the better. The more content that you add, the more pages on your site you'll create, and the more opportunity you'll have to rank well. So start off by shooting for at least 1 to 2 times per week and get everybody in your organization to contribute. All right, how do you get started with blogging? Well, first and foremost, start developing content. And I just mentioned this, get everyone in your organization involved. Choose a blogging tool. There are several out there. There's Blogger, there's WordPress. We suggest using WordPress just because it's very easy to use. And if you need some help setting up that blog, give us a call. We'd be happy to help. Set a game plan, set expectations, set quotas for your team. And then once you do have the blog, you can tie that into your social media outlets so you have a great presence on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. And why do I suggest blogging? Quite simply because it works. Here's a great example of a client that blogs on their staffing website. They've been doing it now for over 3 years. And you can see here that year over year over year, traffic from search engines continues to increase. Again, it is the single biggest, best SEO tool there is available. So I would start there. All right. That was step number 2. Step number 3, you can't ignore social media. And there's a term that I use called social relevance. And social media is changing now how people find you. Before, people used to always go to Google to find something. They're still going to Google in huge numbers, as we saw earlier, but people are also turning now to sites like Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Social relevance, how relevant, how upfront you are in the social media space, can have a big impact on whether or not people find you. From consumer goods to beauty products to restaurants to staffing firms. People are turning to social media to get reviews, talk to friends about their experiences, and to become more educated consumers. So you need a social presence. And right from the horse's mouth here, social media, the webmaster, head of the webmaster program at Bing, came right out and said that social media is a key factor in how they rank websites. And he says if you're not engaged socially, you're missing the boat, because social media is a really important ranking signal for Bing. Okay, so social media is becoming the new SEO. If you're not active on social media, if people aren't sharing your content, you're going to begin decreasing in search in relevance, and your search rankings may in turn be hurt. On the flip side, if more people are sharing your content, more people are talking about you, you can help improve your search rankings. And just a few slides to point out the importance of social relevance. When I do a Google search and I'm logged into my Google account, I will see content that people have liked. Okay, I'm connected with these people. Their pictures will begin showing up in search results. This is becoming more and more prevalent. When you're going to click on something in a search result, are you going to click on something where other people that you know have already endorsed it, or are you going to click on something that no one that you know has endorsed? Okay, all these factors are going to lead to improved search rankings and improved likelihood that somebody's actually going to click on your search result. So get active in social media. Social media is driving people's online behavior. The more and more people that share your content, the higher you'll rank in search results, and the more likely people will be to click on your search result. All right, so number 4 in your game plan for Google, make sure that your jobs are optimized. Let me explain what I mean. Most of you out there have a job board on your staffing website, and if you don't, you need one. Jobs are the single most visited feature on every staffing firm website that we track, and I track over 300 staffing firm websites. It is the single most popular feature on your site. If you don't have it, get it. When choosing your job board, though, there are a few things to look at. You want to make sure that your jobs are actually on your domain. And you know, I show the example here. In full disclosure, the examples that I'm showing are the Haley Marketing Job Board because we're familiar with it, and we've designed this to be search friendly. There are other options too, but we think that this is a great option for you. Make sure that the jobs are on your domain. So if you go to your search jobs page and it's not your root domain, in this case smithhanley.com. Okay, all these jobs, all this content resides on smithhanley.com. If this says something else, if it says staffingsoftware.com/your company, that means all of the content, all of this really keyword-rich job content doesn't reside on your domain. It resides on somebody else's domain, and they're getting the SEO credit for this content. So make sure jobs are on your website, not somebody else's website, number 1. Number 2, make sure that the URLs and the page titles on your jobs are optimized. And in this example, you'll see that the job post for advertising account supervisor is optimized. We include the keyword advertising account supervisor, we include the keyword jobs, and we include the location, Des Moines, Iowa. That's all in the URL. Google looks at this URL and says, okay, this particular page must be about these keywords. We have a better chance of ranking well. And the page title is automatically optimized as well. Advertising account supervisor, jobs in Des Moines. When a job gets entered, these variables are automatically adjusted and the page is optimized for those search terms. All right, and those dynamically created meta titles and meta page descriptions, they show up in search results, as I mentioned earlier. And you can see it in the first listing here. Okay, in purple, advertising account supervisor jobs. That's your page title, and right underneath that is your page description. And if you're looking for more information about the job board, I've included a link here. All right, another important factor, and it's growing in importance in SEO, is making sure that your job board is mobile. If you do have a job board, pick up your smartphone, look at your job postings, and make sure that your application is streamlined, it's easily readable. You may even want to look at a one-click apply. In this example, people can apply with LinkedIn, one click, and make sure that it's simple. All right, moving on, step number 5, and I'm going to hand this now over to Jenny. And Jenny, talk a little bit about Google Plus pages, talk about local pages, and talk about the changes that Google is making and really how they're impacting search results, if you wouldn't mind.
Sure. Thank you, Brad. Good afternoon, everybody. I hope that you find this information interesting. Google Plus, Google Local Pages, Google Places, all of these types of terms and products, they are all different products Google has launched at different points in time, and just in the last even month and a half, they have made changes. So, in the realm of local search engine optimization as well as, social media, it's a quickly changing game. So it's really important that you are positioning your firm to be on top of everything at all points in time because, chances are your competitor probably isn't. So you don't want to be caught out in the dark without a leg up on your competition. So why don't we go ahead, we'll get started. We'll talk about what is a Google Plus local page. Google Plus local pages were originally called Google Places. Now Google Places, you can essentially think about it as if it is, the digital yellow pages. But the great thing about Google Plus local pages is that your candidates, your clients, they can leave reviews for you. So it can really help bolster your ranking and where you're showing up on the web and on Google search results. But it also can help, increase your credibility if people see that their friends or their family, they have endorsed you. Google Plus local pages, what they really provide is, it's providing your contact information, your website address. It's listing your map, it's listing other location information, but it's also, like I mentioned, providing the reviews. It also gives you the opportunity to, respond to reviews and leave feedback. You can also connect your Google Plus local page with your Google Plus company profile and other social information. I'll be talking about the difference between Google Plus local pages and Google Places in just a few moments. It also includes your hours, which is really good if, someone is, searching for you on their smartphone and they see your Google Plus local page come up. It'll say you're still open until 5 o'clock this afternoon. And so it's really nice because it's very responsive and it's providing that information directly into people's hands at the click of a button. And finally, it also is categorizing you. Are you an employment firm or are you a recruiter? It's just another way that Google is trying to make sure they are delivering relevant results. All right, so one question is, where do Google Plus local pages appear? They appear on the right-hand side of search results. Here in this example, I ended up just looking up Haley Marketing Group, but here you can see it pulled in pertinent information about Haley. It didn't pull in the logo, our contact information, as well as you see that other, at the very bottom of that listing, it says recent posts. It's starting to pull in some of our social side of Google. So it is, once again, trying to show that we are producing fresh and relevant content, and you can do that too. Once again, it's just showing that you are, trying to be resourceful and provide great resources for everyone. So
Jenny,
one of the questions.
Jenny, if you
Sure.
don't mind, a question just came in, and it's a good one, and I don't know the answer to this, and I'm not sure if you do, but someone said they work from a home office and would not want to post their address on a map. Is there a way to claim a page without including an actual address?
Well, that's actually a really good question, and I'll be talking a little bit more about Google Plus company pages, but that is the route you would want to go. To actually have a Google Plus local page or a Google Places page, you do need to have a physical address. So if you do not have that, unfortunately that option is not available to you. But there are other ways that you can still make sure you are being shown in these search results. So I'll talk a little bit about that in just a moment as well. All right. So Brad, if you want to go ahead to the next slide, please.
Sure.
Great, thank you. All right, so I want to talk a little bit about how Google Plus Local used to be Google Places pages. And the term Google Places, that is actually a product name of Google. It is still being used, but it is going to be slowly phased out. Google has recently announced just in the last few weeks that, Places is going to be taken over completely by the Google Plus Local page, but at least for the next few months we can continue calling it Google Places. But what I wanted to show here is all current Google Google Place pages, they were either set up by the staffing firm or a company owner, or it was automatically created by Google. Google used, all of their information in their database to compile what they believe is your company information. That could have been done several years ago, or it could have been done in recent months. But that information, and if it is automatically compiled by Google, you do get the opportunity to go in and edit it. But any old Google Places listing, they have automatically been converted to this Google Plus local page. And that's what we're looking at here. And there's a couple key things I want to point out. Here what we see is we do see an opportunity for a logo to be uploaded. That is there to the left of our name. We also have an About and a Photos tab, and I'll tell you why those are important after we go to the next slide. But these two sections here, the About page is where you would find the contact information, a short description, as well as a category we may have assigned to this page. The photos would be a photo that either the company had uploaded or that a reviewer had uploaded as well. On the right-hand side, you have the option to write a review. Google a few years ago, they did get smart. They realized that owners or employees of companies were going in and writing false reviews. So they do make you actually sign in using your Google account information or Gmail information. But you do have that option to write a review. And you can also, if you see there on the lower right-hand side, you have the option to manage this page. And that is where you can go in, and if you've not claimed your listing, you can go in and edit the details and walk through a verification process. But this is what is considered now the new Google Plus local pages. So now if we go to the next slide, here is what is actually the Google Plus company page. And this is the option that you would have if you do not have a physical address. This is what we would suggest making instead. And if you see here in the navigation options, we have the addition of a Posts tab and a Videos tab. And this is where you can really answer the question, do I have a Google Plus local page or a Google Plus company page? If you have these extra navigation options, the answer is a company page. The Post section, that is where you have essentially the social feed. You as the company can go in and you can post updates. You can share your content, you can post jobs, and you can share other company news. Just like you would on all of your other social media sites. The video section, that is where if we had uploaded a video or connected it with our YouTube account or YouTube channel, the videos would reside there as well. And then the last
just came in,
sure.
And I'm sorry to interrupt. You can have both a Google Plus local page and a Google Places page, correct? They're two separate entities.
Correct. And actually, you are able to combine the two. And if you actually go to the next slide, Brad, I can talk a little bit about this.
Great.
All right, so here we're looking at Coca-Cola, and I'm looking at Coca-Cola simply because I wanted to be able to show you two key components. There in the blown up section, there is a little check mark next to the word Coca-Cola as well as to the URL. Now, the URL check mark, that means that Google said, hey, look, we believe that your company page, is associated with Coca-Cola. But before we actually are willing to publish it, we need you to go and put on this little snippet of code in your website. So that's done. They automatically got then the check mark at that point in time. But the one where you see the check mark to the right of the actual brand name, that is indicative of the fact that they did combine two pages. Now, because of the fact Coke is such a large global brand, we can't get driving directions to Coke. However, because we do see that, we do know that, Google and Coke were able to combine the different pages that they have. And one thing I do want to point out, not all individuals are able to combine pages yet. This is one of the things that Google is going to be rolling out in future months. But it is very important that you do have both a Google Plus company page as well as Google local pages. And you should have a Google local page, with all of the map information for multiple locations. If you are in multiple cities or towns, make sure you have a separate listing and a Google local page listing for each of those locations. That way you are positioned for any changes that Google does make, and then as these changes come out in the following months, you can combine the appropriate pages as needed. All right, so then why do Google Plus local pages matter? Well, number one, they matter a little bit because, well, Google's the #1 search giant right now. And so whether you like it or not, pretty much anything Google says, it goes. And so it's really important that you do make sure that you are taking advantage of all of these opportunities. And so that is why you want to make sure you claim a page, you set up a company page, and other things like that. But really it comes down to also building a reputation and a rapport. You know, it also, these Google Plus local pages, it is all about trying to make sure you are easily found. Google wants to be able to make sure that whether someone is searching in a Google search, they are searching in Maps, or they are searching from their smartphone, they want to be able to make sure they are delivering appropriate location results. If someone's wanting to find the address of someone, they don't want to take them to another web page. They'd much rather deliver it directly to a map location. Also, there's the obvious SEO value. Google is trying to deliver these local results, like I said, but it's also wanting to be very social. We should embrace this because, like Brad mentioned earlier, the search engines, they're using this as a major factor in the results they deliver. So it's very important that you are building up your presence on Google Plus as a company. Also, your online reviews, they play a key factor in whether or not people decide to get in touch with you or do business with you. If you log on to a business or a restaurant and you see that they have 0 stars out of 5 and 500 people had that, chances are you're not going to go eat dinner there tonight. The same philosophy applies with, you know, staffing firms. If a candidate logs on and they see that 5 other candidates had a negative experience, they may not contact you to work with you. But we will be talking a little bit later about, okay, if you did get a negative review, what should you do? And finally, there are keywords, descriptions, and categories. All of this is essentially telling Google what you should or should not be relevant about, and then Google is deciding whether or not that is true and whether or not you should be included in the results. All right. So I'm just going to real quickly walk through how to claim or create your Google Plus local page. All of these instructions, they're fairly straightforward. However, depending on your own particular situation, they may be slightly different. So if you do need any assistance, you know, Haley does offer that. Just feel free to reach out to Brad or I. So what you need to do, go to google.com/places for business. You will then just sign in with your Google account or a Gmail. If you do not have a company Gmail account set up, or your company email addresses are not housed through Google, I recommend creating one for your company. That way it's not under someone's personal email address. Then you will be prompted to enter your phone number. That will then either find the listing that you can then claim and edit, or it will ask you to create a new listing. Once you go through those steps, you will be brought to a screen where it will ask you to fill out a lot of information. Now, there are character limits on a lot of these fields, but it's very important that you try to fill out as many as possible. The more information you give Google, the more chance you have of showing up in results. So you want to make sure that your company name, your phone, your website are all filled out. Also, you will need a physical address. We recommend also including an email address, hours, or photos. 2 other things that are really important to include and pay attention to is the category and the description. Google has some categories predefined for you know, us in the staffing industry, and I think right now they are employment agency and recruiter. However, it does give you the option to create a custom category, but we do recommend including the categories they predefine in addition to any one you create. Also with the description, take advantage of it. I think it's less than 200 characters, but use it wisely. Talk about how you are the leading staffing firm in your area and you provide X, Y, and Z staffing services. Finally, when you get to that point in time, verify your location. Google will either give you a call automatically or they'll send you a postcard in the mail. You'll use that information to then verify your location. Once you have that set up, you will also be able to see some really valuable information. And it will tell you, okay, this new listing that you created, are people seeing it, who's seeing it, and how are they finding you? You can find out things such as what keywords were used when your page was displayed. How many clicks were there to see where you were located on a map? How many people requested driving directions? You can even see where and what zip code people were asking for driving directions from. So it's all really great information for in making decisions in particular to advertising or reaching a particular market. I also wanted to talk a little bit about what should you be doing with your review sites. Review sites play an important factor in whether or not people choose to do business with you. So it's important that you are aware of what's being said about you, as well as, if needed, responding to reviews. So, it's really important to keep in mind that an online review can really, make or break your chances of working with your top prospect or even the top talent in the market. Oftentimes what will happen is there'll only be 1 or 2 reviews for your business. Because usually people only leave a review if it is a phenomenal, positive experience or it was a really bad one. You do great business every day, you place candidates all the time, but occasionally the person that only leaves that review is the person that wasn't able to be placed because either they didn't have the skills or they weren't qualified. You don't want to have them go on and have them leaving a review that's really going to tarnish the reputation you might have. So it's really just, wanting to make sure of, okay, what are you going to be doing about those negative reviews? Number one, you want to respond. You need to acknowledge the fact that they had a negative experience. Apologize for it. But, don't get into a he said, she said situation. You don't want to present your staffing firm in that light. If you're able to, extend the olive branch and offer to rectify the situation. And really, if you know this individual or you're familiar with the situation, pick up the phone. Try to come to an agreement that everyone can move forward from. And then finally, the best way to handle it, flood your profile with positive reviews and testimonials. After someone in person has told you that you did a great job or you found them a great job opportunity, ask that they write that down. Ask that they share that on your different social pages. Also, you want to make sure that you're making your social presence known and you're really encouraging your reviews. Include links to your Google Plus or Google Local pages on your website. Also, include a +1 button on your website or blog post. This gives the opportunity for people to share your content easily and quickly. And finally, for candidates especially, consider setting up an on-site review station. People will be able to then, when their interview is over, log on, leave a quick review about their experience, and go on from there. So I hope that I was able to address a lot of the questions. Like I said, this is it's a new area. It changes rapidly. So if you at any point have questions, feel free to reach out to us.
Jenny, thank you so much. Some great insight there. And, one important thing, again, is to make sure that you stay aware of what people are saying about your company out there. A great tool to help with this is Google Alerts. You can just go to Google, type in Google Alerts. It will allow you to set up a alert system for your company name, for your recruiters' names, for your competitors' names, and you'll be notified when there's a new story or your name is included in a comment or something like that. It's not 100% foolproof, but it's a great way to make sure that you're aware of what people are saying about you or your company. So again, keep your eyes open, go to these review sites, continually look at what's being said about your company, and help craft a positive message. All right, so number 7 on our list of the top 8 things to do to improve your search rankings is making sure that you track everything. and I'm going to get on my soapbox now. Tracking will help make sure that all of this work, all these things that you're doing are worth it. So my favorite tracking tool right now is Google Analytics. If you don't have Google Analytics installed on your website, get it. If you're not sure, ask whoever developed your website if you have Google Analytics installed. What this is going to do is show you how people find your website. So again, at the beginning, when we talked about the goal of search engine optimization, it wasn't necessarily to rank well in search results. Okay, the goal of SEO shouldn't be to rank #1 for a given search term. The goal should be to get traffic to your website, to get people to your website. If you rank #1 for a search result that nobody's searching for, who cares? It's adding no value. So analytics will tell you if you've chosen the right keywords and if those keywords are driving traffic to your website. It will tell you how long people stay on your site, new visits versus return visits. Again, what keywords people use to find your site, what search engines people use to find your site. It will give you an idea of those inbound links to your website and the other websites out there that are referring traffic to your site. We'll show you where traffic drops off and show you key spikes in traffic. Okay, so you can see if other marketing activities like an email newsletter are generating a big spike in traffic. And if they are, you can then invest more in those marketing activities. So once you have that data, once you know whether or not your search engine optimization is performing well, use the data. So if you're getting people to your website and you find that once they get to your website, the traffic is falling off, they're not applying, they're not clicking for services, look at the data inside analytics and make adjustments. Okay, look at what you can do to increase conversions on your site, to get more response, to drive more value from your website. If you're not getting people to your website, Google Analytics can help you find out why. And you can even install something called Google Webmaster Tools that will show you how often you show up in website search queries. If you're showing up in search queries, but you're not getting traffic, maybe you need to go back and adjust those meta page titles or your meta page descriptions to make them more attractive, to explain the value that people are going to get from your website and your company. So use all of that information constantly. In our blogging program, we talked a lot about blogging and how it's such an effective tool at driving traffic to your site. We look at analytics constantly, so we know what topics people are interested in. And when we generate future blogs and future content plans, we use all of this data to write about things that are more relevant to what people are searching for, that results in more traffic to your site. So all of the information in analytics you can use to make meaningful marketing decisions that can impact your bottom line. And number 8 on our list, and to wrap things up, don't stand still. Getting back to what we said almost on the first slide here, SEO is a process. It's not an event. So in order to rank highly, you need to continually update your site. You need to look for ways to add fresh and relevant content. And also, it can't stop just on your website. You can have the greatest website in the world, but Google and Bing and Yahoo are looking at other factors even beyond your website. They're looking at what sites are linking back to. They're looking at your social relevance. How influential are the people that follow you in the social space? How often are people sharing your content elsewhere? These are all increasing factors in whether or not you're going to rank well in search results. So with that said, I would like to let everybody know that, and thank you for joining us today. We have also kind of condensed a lot of these points into a new SEO ebook that we produced, and it's free, and I've included the URL here. You can go there, you can download this book, and it'll give you kind of a cheat sheet that covers a lot of the things that we just talked about. And also at this time, I'd like to open it up for a Q&A. So some great questions came in during the presentation. I think we've answered a lot of them. So please, use that question area in the right and let us know if anything was unclear, if you wanted some follow-up on any of these items. And I just had a question come in now regarding the job board. When you were talking about the job board, you mentioned making sure that jobs appear on your website. This question from Karen says, what if you work with a vendor that includes your job board as an iframe on your website? Good question. And iframe, what that means is that the job board appears as though it's on your website, but really it's just one page that is kind of a shell around the job board. So the actual job board itself resides somewhere else, but your website is just pulling that in. Karen, unfortunately, if that's the case, in most times Google will not see your job content as part of your website. So how do you get around that? One, you could look at choosing a different job board that does give you that capability. At Haley, we work with a lot of the software providers and actually pull in jobs into our job board so that you do have that SEO value. Another option is to look and see if your existing job board has an RSS feed coming out. If you have an RSS feed coming out of your job board, you can use that RSS feed to populate pages with job content and make sure that those pages are on your website. So that is one way around it. And if you'd like, if anyone would like more information about that, please feel free to let me know. And also, if you're working with a vendor that has a feed out to Indeed, we can even pull in that data and route it back to the ATS for specific jobs. So there are options to get around that. Another question came in, and this is kind of a really general question, but where should a staffing firm start with SEO? And what I suggest doing to start with is, well, one, attending this webinar. That's a good start. Two, download this guide. And then three, when you're talking to different vendors, make sure that they know what they're talking about. Ask for specific examples. See if they've had any experience in the staffing industry, and if they have, get specific examples. Ask for reports. Ask for data. A good SEO company will be able to prove results, show you data. Be leery of a company that comes in and says, I can guarantee you page 1 results on 10 keywords. Nobody can guarantee that. That's like a doctor telling you that they can guarantee a medical result. There's just way too many variables. What a good SEO company will do is again, show you that data, show you case studies, show you success stories, but no one can guarantee that you're going to be #1 in a specific search result. Google might be able to guarantee that, but beyond Google, nobody else can. Another question came in, how do I know if I need to rebuild my website? That's a good question. There are a lot of factors that go into whether or not you need to rebuild your website. It can be something from as simple as looking at your website and seeing if the look and feel is contemporary, to digging deeper into the code of your website to see if it's search friendly. And what I mean by that is, of all the ranking factors we talk about today, what we didn't dig too much into is the technical end, and how your website is programmed and coded can actually have an impact on your search results. So Google wants to, Google will improve the search engine relevance of your site if it's coded cleanly and properly. So I guess the best answer to that question is, how do you know if I need to rebuild my website or not? Send us a link to your website, and we'll be able to give you some more advice. All right, I think that just about wraps it up for the questions. If you do have further questions that we didn't answer, you have questions specific to your website, feel free to reach out to Jenny and I. We would be happy to help you. You can find our information at haleymarketing.com or call us at 888-696-2900. And again, it's Brad Smith and Jenny Keller. And then what I would also like to say is that if you do need help with search engine optimization, you need help with social media marketing, we specialize in this area. We've helped a lot of staffing and recruiting firms in these spaces. And please be sure to join us for our next Lunch with Haley webinar coming up next month on how staffing companies can go mobile. And as a Google Analytics fan, I can tell you that mobile traffic to staffing firm websites is growing exponentially. A year ago, it was in single digits. Now we're in double digits. Next year, we're going to be talking about maybe a quarter, maybe even half of all traffic coming to your website is going to come from mobile devices. So that ties in very nicely with the last question, how do I know if I need a new website? Well, is it mobile friendly? If not, then you might need a new website. So be sure to join us for that. You can sign up at Lunch with Haley. We'll give you some tips, pointers, and best practices. Again, thank you so much for joining us. Don't be shy, and if you do have further questions, reach out to us.